How's it going, everyone? As you can see, this is another edition, I guess, of the Things I Didn't Review series. Gosh, I feel all pretentious with these terms here. But yeah, I have another one now. This is covering everything that I did not review, that I watched and listened to from January through March of 2022. So, this includes albums, EPs, mixtapes, movies, television shows. Yeah, I think that's about it, just all those different things. And basically throughout this video, I'll just be giving my short, simple, quick thoughts on each one of these things. Maybe like 30 seconds to a minute per each, and then I'll just move on to the next. And I actually have recorded all of my reactions to these things already. I've already edited it together. This is the last thing I'm filming right here. That'll be it. If you guys, some of you may remember the app Stardust, which is where you could record like 30-second movie reactions. I actually used to do reactions on that app as well, so it's kind of in a similar style to that. And yeah, it's just my very quick thoughts. I'm not going to be grading anything, giving any sort of rating. I'm just going to say how I feel, and then I'll go to the next one. There's going to be time codes in the description box below if you want to skip around to something else that I talk about. I most likely would anticipate you guys would want to do that, since I doubt a lot of you want to sit through my thoughts on everything. And I do have to acknowledge, unfortunately, that with regards to Taylor Hawkins passing away, before anyone's like, why didn't he comment about Taylor? Why didn't he make a statement about that? I recorded that reaction long before it had happened, like a month before, actually, right after I saw the movie Studio 666. So yeah, just if anyone was wondering, that's why. Yeah, I think I got pretty much everything covered there. Here you go. Enjoy.
This actually did come out in 2021. It's not technically a new release for this year, but it was the last week. It was December 24th, so I figured why not talk about it. It's just right on the edge there. But this is Magic by Nas. I really like this album quite a bit, actually. He doesn't really do anything new on here. He does kind of just go back to the basics of his original sound, but if you're into that, like me, then I think you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of this thing, and I did. It's pretty crazy. Nas is nearly 50 at this point, and he's still got it, so rock on, Nas. Karma versus the Invisible Man, new album by Billy Cobb. Not a great album. It's a little bit all over the place, a little bit of a mess, especially in terms of the production. Few standout tracks here and there that I thought were pretty good. I mean, it's not a terrible album. It's pretty mid-tier for me. There's even this kind of weird interlude where he's just talking about Howie Mandel and how he's a germaphobe. I don't know. It's a weird album. It's not one of his better ones, but I don't think it's terrible. The Zealot Gene, a new album from the band Jethro Tull. It's their first album, I believe, since 2003, so it's pretty cool to see them coming back with a new release, a new project. And it's not bad. It's actually kind of enjoyable. Definitely not perfect, not flawless, not every track hits well, but I did enjoy a lot of the compositions in this one. I like its mix of progressive rock with folk rock. And yeah, I mean, they surprisingly came through with a few solid tunes here. I was impressed. Of course, it's not great. It's not perfect, like I said, but they, I think, do a better job than what most people would expect from a new album from a band like Jethro Tull. This is the last album we get from Black Country New Road. Then I think that they really went out on a bang. I was very impressed by this thing. Loved its fusions of art rock, experimental rock, post-punk, a little bit of jazz in there as well that I noticed. Just a really cool sound they're going for with this album. And a lot of the lyrics in this, the storytelling is very emotional, very powerful. Yeah, very moving record. If it is their last one, then I thought that this was a good note to end on. Better Than You, a mixtape from Dababy and Youngboy Never Broke Again, aka NBA Youngboy. Two big time artists. I was definitely interested to see how this would go. And it turned out just about how I thought it would, from what in my opinion are two below average rappers. I'm just really not into either of these guys' styles of rapping, either of their flows, really. I feel like both of them, and especially Youngboy, just could do so much better if They just picked better instrumentals. They didn't just stick to such basic ass trap instrumentals and did something different. Honestly, I feel like NBA Youngboy is better with his more emo rap stuff. That might be a hot take, but I think he's better in those moments. But unfortunately, there are more moments on this album that aren't like that, so yeah. Saturday Afternoon Kung Fu Theater. This is a collaboration album between RZA, who you might know from Wu-Tang Clan, and GJ Scratch. I wasn't into this one. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about it. It had a couple of moments that were okay, but I thought that from especially a production standpoint, this did leave a lot to be desired. RZA does on this project seem to just be coasting off of his fame from being in Wu-Tang Clan. He really seems to be living in the past a little bit and not necessarily in the best way. Who cares? New album from Rex Orange County, and it's pretty good. It's pretty enjoyable. You know, he doesn't really do a whole lot to go outside of the box with his normal sounds. He definitely is kind of sticking to the basics with this one. But I do think that it works for the most part. There are some really great singles from this album, like Open a Window featuring Tyler, the Creator. Awesome song. And really the album gets off to a very good start. But I do think it kind of loses momentum in the second half. It's not really as good or as consistently catchy as the first half. But still a decent project on the whole for sure. And yeah, just more good catchy stuff from Rex Orange County. Flora plus Fana. This was alright. I really don't have a whole lot to say about it. I really like Fanny Hugh's voice. I think she's a very good singer. There isn't a whole lot of diversity to it, I guess. All the songs do kind of blend together and have sort of a chill, psychedelic, trippy vibe to them, which is cool, but I guess I would say it does kind of just outstay its welcome by the end of it. More songs I stole. Yet another project from Billy Cobb. I'm telling you guys, he is always coming out with music, and it's great to see, really, no matter whether I like it or not. This one I think is fine. I enjoyed some of the covers that he did. His cover of Genie in a Bottle I thought was surprisingly good. Yeah, so it's not bad. Kind of a hit or miss album, but it's a few surprisingly good covers. This was definitely not the start I was hoping for with this series of EPs that Weezer's going to put out this year. Yeah, this is the Spring EP, for those of you who are wondering, by Weezer. And it's not a very good album. I know it's not an album, it's an EP, whatever. I will say that it does do a good job at capturing, I guess, the vibe and the look and the feelings of spring. I'll give them that. But the rest of the album is just a reminder of how inconsistent Weezer has been recently with their output. Last year was pretty solid. I loved OK Human. Van Weezer was just okay. But compared to those, this is pretty disappointing. And hopefully the next EPs will be better. I thought about making a video on this, the 20th anniversary Harry Potter special. I don't have a lot to say about it. I did like it overall. It was obviously very cool seeing, all the cast reuniting after all these years. I thought they paid really good tribute to all the people we've lost that were a part of these movies, all the people that passed away. That was really nice. And it was also especially nice, for me at least, to see just how happy and enthusiastic Daniel Radcliffe was with this whole thing. Because I remember hearing not too long after the series ended that he kind of wanted to move on from that. He didn't want to be known as Harry Potter and wanted to put that in the past, which is understandable. But I mean, these movies are awesome. And I like the idea of him being proud of it and, embracing his character of Harry Potter. And in this one, he clearly does. He was clearly very happy to be there and to be a part of this special. So that was really nice for me to see. Driving Home to You, this is a documentary based around the album Sour, obviously by Olivia Rodrigo. And it was cool. I would say my favorite part of it was hearing the different versions and iterations of some of the songs off that album, particularly for the songs that were kind of just meh to me from the album, like Happier, for instance. And yeah, it was cool. Don't have a lot to say about it. I liked seeing all the footage that was from her and Dan in the studio, pretty much just in that one room. I mean, really is like the true definition of a bedroom pop album. So yeah, pretty cool. Short, but it was a nice viewing experience. Scream, not to be confused with the original Scream movie. This is the fifth. It's Scream 5. I mean, everyone's calling it Scream 5. I don't know why they call it Scream. Whatever. Putting that aside, this is a good sequel, I think. It does a good job at bringing back its older characters, and I think for the most part, mixed them well with the newer characters and the newer faces in this franchise. It is very self-aware, like all the other ones. Although I do think that in this movie it gets a little too aware of itself, especially with regards to the locations and the different settings that take place in this movie. And I wasn't a huge fan of all the new characters, but overall this is still a fun time. I think it's a good sequel, and it does serve the franchise and all of its sort of lore to a good extent, I guess. The royal treatment of the new movie to Netflix, I mean, you guys all know where this is going. It's a movie that's on Netflix. It's being labeled as a romantic comedy. The two lead characters are in their 20s, roughly. We all know what's going to happen. I knew what was going to happen when I started this. What you think is going to happen happens. It's extremely predictable, no surprises. I mean, there's a couple of cute moments. They do have chemistry, the two leads, I think, at times. But it's just a very forgettable movie. Death on the Nile. This is the follow-up to Murder on the Orient Express. I thought that was just an okay movie, personally. This one I think is a little bit better. It does get more exciting when we get to the actual murder that occurs, which, by the way, is not a spoiler. It's called Death on the Nile. Come on, you should know that that happens. Someone dies. Yeah, I just don't really care for a lot of the characters. That's really what this movie really depends on for its success, and a lot of the characters are just kind of boring, in my opinion. Kenneth Branagh is great as Pierrot, or however you say his name. He's awesome. I think there are much better murder mystery movies that have come out recently, like I think Knives Out being a really good example. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was just fine, I thought. This is one of the biggest surprises for me all year up to this point, obviously. You know, I figured it wouldn't be terrible, and I knew that Channing Tatum would be good just from what I'd seen in the trailers. And he is great. It really does carry this movie. But the movie itself I thought was actually pretty good. It was pretty endearing. It's definitely very heartfelt and heartwarming in certain scenes for sure. And I just really enjoyed the bond he had with the dog, Lulu. It's her name in the movie. Yeah, it's kind of cookie cutter. It's definitely like very predictable, you know, but it's predictable in good ways. Like, I was glad that certain things played out the way I wanted them to. And yeah, it made for a good movie. Surprisingly, I would kind of recommend this one. Studio 666, this, if you don't know, is a movie that the Foo Fighters made. Kind of like a horror parody / comedy film. They're definitely not taking themselves seriously with this one. And if you go into it knowing that, and knowing it's the Foo Fighters, and they always like to goof around with a bunch of things with their music videos and stuff, then I think you'll have a good time with this movie. I, being a Foo Fighters fan, and really just a fan of them as people in general, had a great time with this movie. This is a blast. It's obviously not perfect, and you could really pick it apart and tear it to shreds if you wanted, honestly. But if you go in just knowing that it's supposed to be stupid and silly and not completely serious, then I think you'll have a fun time with this movie. And the kills are amazing. The kills in this movie are worth the price of admission alone. I did not give a crap about this show with the first 3 episodes. I just found very little of interest out of those 3. 4th episode was a little bit better, but man, 5 through 7 were awesome. And I know that there is some slight controversy with that, because it is pretty much just the Mandalorian season 2.5, really. But you know what? They were really well made, and I enjoyed them very much. And they definitely gave the season a boost, because initially I just was not into it. But as a whole, I think this was a good season, and it had an incredibly strong finish to it. So I wasn't sure to put this in the TV or movie section. It had episodes released on Netflix, so I just went with that. I mean, it doesn't matter either way. But yeah, I'm talking about Jeen-yuhs, this documentary about Kanye West. And yeah, I very much enjoyed watching this. Very cool to see his life in the early 2000s just as a producer before he ever got his first record deal and started recording his own albums. I was also super interested just by Cootie and learning about him and his story. And really, that was the biggest pleasant surprise. Was feeling pretty much equal investment in Cootie and what was going on with his life as well as Kanye's, and seeing them get back together and sort of reunite the the past few years was super awesome as well. Very cool documentary. I would very much recommend checking this out, especially if you're a fan of Kanye.
And that was everything I did not review from January through March of 2022. That rhymes. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you stayed through the whole thing, that's really cool. Thanks, I guess. Hopefully it wasn't too long for you. I can tell you it definitely wasn't too long for me, because after recording the intro, just moved right on to this, so no time has passed for me. I do actually want to mention though that there are a couple of things that I watched / listened to in March that I didn't mention in this video, because I'm actually going to have reviews for those coming out hopefully soon. I'm in the midst of working on them right now, so hopefully I can get those out soon for you guys. But that's all I got for you guys for now. Thank you for watching. If you did, feel free to leave a comment on your thoughts on any of the stuff that I talked about in this video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.